Welcome everyone to today's panel, virtual panel. So my name is Ruth Morales, and I serve as the Director for the Office of International and Latino Affairs within the Office of Mayor Joe Hogsett. One of the programs that our office supports is the Access Leadership Program, which is a partnership with Indiana Latino Expo. And it's really an 8-month leadership program designed for Latino professionals between the ages 21 to 28 to develop personally and professionally and to prepare them to engage with civic and community leadership activities. I will be moderating today's panel with one of our Access leaders, Fabio Yataco. And so today we will have 4 panelists who they will introduce themselves shortly, but I definitely want to allow Fabio to say a little bit about himself and his involvement with Access. So go ahead, Fabio.
Yeah, thanks, Ruth. It's a pleasure to be with you all today. As Ruth mentioned, my name is Fabio Yataco. Professionally, I serve as a Community Leadership Officer at CICF, or Central Indiana Community Foundation, and I've been involved with Access since its inception in 2017. A group of us that were on the Mayor's Latino Advisory Council got together and really pushed this initiative forward. 4 years later, we've done 4 different cohorts, and it's exciting to see it growing each year and always being supported as well as being able to connect with awesome mentors that have been able to dedicate their time to really invest in our young professionals. So excited to hear from them here soon. And then yeah, just a little bit about myself and how I've been involved. Ruth, I'll get it back to you.
Yeah, so I guess we'll kick it off by having our panelists who are Access mentors. So we have these 4 young ladies who are really involved within the Indianapolis community, who are also, pouring into our Access participants and just really being so supportive of the program. So if you could each say a little bit about your background, a little bit about your career experience and your current position, that'll kick us off. So Amanda Bonilla.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Happy to be with you all. Amanda Bonilla. I currently serve as the Executive Director for Student Diversity, Equity, and Belonging for the Ivy Tech Community College System. Before that, I was at IUPUI for several years and just lots of other universities for the past 15, 16-ish years. My career is in higher education, and my passion is essentially access to higher education for Black and Brown folks. And so I think mentoring has naturally happened with young people, particularly underrepresented people of that age group. I've served as advisors for different cultural organizations and things of that nature. So I'm originally from Indiana, Northwest Indiana. So I am a proud region rat from 219, and I identify as Mexican. I'm Mexican and Puerto Rican.
Thanks, Amanda. Now, Kari Morales.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kari Morales. I am Program Officer for Creative Placemaking at Local Initiative Support Corporation, LISC. I have a background in community organizing and community development. So excited to be here with all of you today. Honestly, mentoring is still a new thing for me. I feel like I've reached this age where I can actually do it and have experience to share with other folks. But generally, I think I wouldn't have been here without my mentors. I don't think I could have gotten to this role that I'm in today without the people who have really poured into me. So I'm just so happy to be able to actually be in a position to do that and reciprocate that. My background and how I identify rather is a cheeseheaded Nica Rican. So Amanda, I feel you on the Rican part. My father is Nicaraguan, my mother's Puerto Rican. I was born in Wisconsin.
Thank you, Kari. Now, Dea Hernandez.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dea Hernandez. I am currently a life coach at the Excel Center Shadeland. I have been in this position for about a little over 4 years now, almost going for 5. Previously, I had experience in higher education. I worked for a private liberal arts college here in Indianapolis, or in Indiana, as the admissions counselor and multicultural recruitment coordinator for them. But my background actually in education is telecommunications and journalism. So I took a completely different route after I graduated from my undergrad, but it's been an exciting journey. I was part of the first cohort for Access, so that was exciting to be a part of that. And I've been mentoring ever since then. And yeah, I like to call myself an adopted Hoosier. I'm not originally from Indianapolis. I'm from New Mexico, but I've been here for 20 plus years. So I feel like it's fitting to be an adopted Hoosier now.
Thank you. And our fourth panelist, Fanny Morales.
Hello, everyone. My name is Fanny Morales. I am a proud Catracha from Honduras, born there, but raised mostly in South Florida. I am a fairly recent Indiana transplant. I've been here about 4 years now. And I built my career in the corporate space. Like Dea, my undergrad education and even my master's degree really has nothing to do with my career today, but I've made it work. My undergrad was in German and French, and my master's was in linguistics. I did teach high school Spanish and French for a year, but after that, I took the corporate route. Throughout my entire tenure, I have been involved with interns, whether as a direct supervisor or mentor. Most recently, I led the intern program at One America. And most recently in my career, I've been involved in recruiting and marketing.
Perfect. Thank you all for introducing yourselves. And now as we begin today's panel, really getting into the topic of mentorship, we're just going to go around and asking, each of you different questions. And the first question that we're going to start with today is have you each had different mentors throughout your journey? If so, how have you benefited from that mentorship? And then has it influenced the way you mentor today? We can start with Kari.
So I love this question just because it makes me think about all the great mentors that I've had in my life. I think they've all happened organically. Really, during my undergraduate experience at IU Bloomington, I feel like there was a junior, senior level, and also like master's, PhD candidates who really just took us under their wing. And it was more of, I'm a first gen student, so just going into an institution like IU was weird, and I didn't know what questions to ask. I didn't know who to go to. And I think that they just understood that, right? Like, it's just one of those things that they've experienced, like, you know what, I got you. And it was such an awesome experience to just have someone who really cared for you and checked in, right? I think the cool thing about mentors is they sort of just know what questions to ask, right? At least in my experience, I think that they challenge you to think a little different and to see things from their perspective or just a different lens. How that's impacted me today, I think the same applies. I feel like I am a little bit more strategic and intentional about the questions that I ask, and really get to know whoever I am mentoring to make sure that it's aligning with their values and their interests. And sometimes it's okay to acknowledge that maybe it's not a good match, but you have a strong enough network that you can, refer them to someone else. So that my 2 cents to the question. Thanks, Fabio.
Yeah, no, thanks for the answer. Completely agree. Dea?
Yes, I have been very thankful to have a couple mentors in my journey. I took some time to reflect on this question, and I didn't realize, like, at the time growing up, that they were mentors. I thought that they were just people, like Kari said, that kind of took you under your wing. But now that I look back to it, I was like, wow, I couldn't have made it where I am today if it weren't for these people. Starting off with high school, I was also first generation. Parents had just immigrated from Mexico. English isn't my first language, all that stuff that gets added onto you. And so I didn't know how to fill out a college application or what the FAFSA was or anything like that. And my guidance counselor was that mentor for me, to just mentor me through that process. And honestly, like, if it wasn't for her, I definitely wouldn't have had the other experiences that I have had. But even when I entered into the professional world, I had a community mentor that kind of just helped me within the community. But then I also had a work mentor who really helped me kind of, build my professional side of things and teach me, the routes of higher education and helped me get into the job I'm currently in. So it's been very amazing to have those people in my life that I still keep in touch with. And to kind of see, them grow professionally, but then also have them see me grow professionally. It's been amazing. And I think that that's definitely set me up to be the mentor I am today, but even in my current job, because I do work with adults, I'm now a person that I can, help guide them through, being first generation and all that stuff. So it's a really cool experience to have those people in your life and then be able to apply those skills to others as well.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'm thinking that your guys' answers make me think about my mentors, and something I really appreciate is how they always keep it 100. They always keep it real. Like Kari mentioned, they always ask the questions that I don't even want to hear, right? But it gets you to reflect and really think about next steps. So I think they're helping you find direction is definitely key. So thank you for that answer, Dea. Amanda?
Yeah, so mine is really opposite from the same time period of life that y'all are talking from. So I too am a first generation college student. I'm the oldest in my family. So I was like born to mentor everybody else. And it was terrible. Like I learned to not ask for help. I had to do it right. I had to figure it out because who's going to help me? Everyone's younger than me and you're not supposed to look like you don't know what you're doing. So I didn't have like really any guidance in undergrad, and I was a very angry student, very activist student. And my senior year, I had one person say, well, if you don't agree or you don't like it, go do something about it. And that kicked me off to go to IU Bloomington. And it was there, similar to what Kari shared. I actually think we were down there at the same time. I was down there, I think, getting my master's when she was a young undergrad. It was there where I met older people for the first time that were like, hey, young, angry Latina, like, let me help you navigate this. We've been there, we understand. And I was like, oh, that's how this is supposed to go. So it kind of is like that meme, like be the person that you needed when you were younger. And that's essentially my approach to mentoring is asking those hard questions and keeping it 100. And if students are quiet, pushing them a little further because I was the quiet one. I didn't ask the questions. And I really didn't feel like I had mentors who pushed me until I was already like 21 or older. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's an awesome perspective to bring to the table, especially when people who are watching may be a little older, maybe younger, right? Not know how to navigate that. We're going to get further on how you actually navigate that mentor relationship in a little bit, but definitely welcoming all the different experiences that we've all shared. Fanny?
Yeah, like the rest of the panel, I was the first person in my family to go to college, so I had no idea what to do, and my parents had no idea what to do. They didn't grow up in this country, so they didn't really understand the system. And I was very lucky to have a couple of teachers who helped guide me and kind of saw my potential and said, hey, listen, I really think a college route is good for you. Here are some things that you can do to make that happen. And later on, when I did teach, because I taught at my former high school, I also had them as mentors to get me started in my career in teaching. So that was a really nice experience. Although if anybody's ever been in that kind of situation, it's really weird to stop calling your teacher Mr. or Mrs. and call them by their first name. That's awkward. But then even in my corporate career, I also have been very lucky to have had people to not only take me under their wing, but push me into really uncomfortable zones. And even things that seem minor, like taking me to events that were fancy dinners that I hadn't been exposed to before, and showing me which fork to pick up and kind of how to behave at these philanthropic galas and how to present to senior leadership, and different things that, again, I didn't have exposure to before have really been foundational in where I am in my career today. And I take those examples and try to find new things for my mentees to experience that they may not have had exposure to before.
No, yeah. I mean, I think, kind of talking about that, especially Amanda's perspective about, not having a mentor until later on during her graduate studies. But, I guess I wonder, so what are some ways or steps for someone that someone can take in order to establish a mentor relationship with someone? And Amanda, if you could like start off, by sharing with us what those steps could be.
Sure. I think knowing what you want to get out of the relationship. And for me, that was really hard because it felt selfish. Like, what do you mean I need to get something from someone? Like, I'm very other motivated. So it's like, but I want to give, I want to help. And it's like, no, what do I want? What do I need? And how can I ask for it? But it took me a really long time to get there. Like, I'm a geriatric millennial, whatever that means. And I would say I started to really figure this out in my 30s because I met great people and I would go to all the events, right? Like, if we talk about all the things happening in the city, I probably went to ILI dinners and La Plaza events for like my entire undergraduate experience. I went to the dinners, I shook hands, and I left. Like, I never really talked to anybody about what I wanted, right? Or what I needed. And really, it took me to see that like people who actually weren't as talented or weren't like, I don't know, they didn't work as hard, they would just go up to people and be like, hey, I need an internship. Or I want to work like you. Can I shadow you for 30 minutes? And I'm like, what? You just asked? And so it took me a while. Like, I had to watch a little bit and then be like, I can do this too. And so first it was like, sorry, my dog. Who is it? What do I want to get out of it? And then just asking that, like, I'm interested in your career. I'd love to know how you got there. Or could I shadow you on a project? Or, something you said, I'm from the same hometown as you, and it's really hard to get my parents to support me to stay in school. How did you do it? Have a specific question. And then usually the mentor will take it from there. That's the other thing, is that like, especially in community too, like Latinos are communal in nature. So if a younger person comes to you and is just like, hey, tell me about your life, like, that's not a hard question for us to want to sit down and engage with one another. But I think the mentees or young folks put a lot like on ourselves and like, what does this mean? I have to be perfect. I have to figure it out, da, da, da. And like, that's not necessarily it. Like, as opportunities arise for you to cross paths with people, like, just follow up, send that email on LinkedIn, things of that nature. So that's how we get started.
Awesome. So thank you, Amanda, for sharing that. I think something else that kind of goes along with what you're saying and kind of interested in hearing from the rest of the group is like, so we've all talked about how mentorship is important, but I want to know if you guys think that there's different types of mentors, and can it be important to have multiple different types of mentors at one time or throughout different stages of our careers? So Kari, kick us off with that question.
Absolutely. I'm a strong believer that you need way more than one mentor. So the way I look at it is like, I have different mentors for different aspects of my life. One, right, is career, right? I want someone to continue to nurture me in my community development career, to ask the question. There's still like a huge learning curve for me. And you got the OGs who've been in the field for like, 20 plus years, right? So, for me, it's that's one mentor. And then I have like, I want to find this is like a TBD for 2022, a spiritual mentor, right? Can I have someone that can help me connect more to spirituality? And what does that look like for me? I have a mentor that I go to every time I'm trying to make a career move. Like, I always call this person. I'm like, I troubleshoot, like, I feel like I'm missing something. Like, so I think that I encourage even the folks that I mentor, I encourage them to seek out other people. And to Amanda's point, like, you need to know what you need out of the relationship, right? Because I think in our culture, it's given that we're all storytellers. I feel like we love to talk about like our families, our communities, but that's just one piece. At the end of the day, like, you want to connect the dots and make sure like you're getting what you need out of the conversations and out of the time that you have with your mentors. So, and it's just different, different stages. Like, there's people that I've had in college that I don't talk to anymore. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but they were there to help me when I needed them. Right. And I think it's just one of those things that with all aspects of life, there's times for everything, and it's okay to move on to the next thing. You might have a need that's different than your 18-year self. Right. So it's just, we're all evolving people.
Yeah, 100%. I think I have a career mentor, a professional, guide mentor, an academic mentor. It's just, they just help you, right? It kind of like your personal board of directors in a sense. Fanny, anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, there's more than one way to skin a cat. So even within each of those buckets, there's different leadership styles that work out for different reasons in different situations. At times you have to be a little tougher. At times you have to be a little more charming, and being able to learn those different styles and how to apply them is really important, because you don't have to do everything that the mentor tells you, but it's really good to understand when they're doing things that way and why they're doing things that way, to help you develop your own style and find your own voice as you interact with others.
100%. Dea, anything to add?
I mean, I agree with everything that everyone has said. Someone once told me, and I was trying to think of who said this to me, but find someone that you find interesting, or that eventually you want to take their job, like in a sense, and try to connect with them, because they're the ones that are going to obviously have that inside scoop of like what your next step is. And I always found that interesting, because I'm that type of person that would never want to steal anyone's job, but they weren't really saying it like you're going to steal someone's job. It was just like, you're going to grow professionally because you're going to make those connections, and you never know what this person or who they know or what they can get you connected with. So I think that's something that I've always been working on. Like, okay, what's my next step? What's my next move? Let me find someone who's already in that career, even if I'm not, going to make that career change, tomorrow or in the next couple of years. But eventually it's something that I could be interested in. And I want to connect with that person. For example, I'm a part-time doula. And so I thought I would ever become a doula. That's not something that I, have an education in, but it was something that I was always interested in. So I connected with a birthing coach. And then when the opportunity presented itself to get my certification, I was like, oh, I already talked to someone. I know that this is something that I'm interested in. I'm going to go for it. So it was an interesting conversation that I had with this person that just, gave me that advice of find someone interesting that you're wanting to talk to, or just getting to know more, even if it doesn't have anything to do with what you're interested in doing.
If I could add, I want to add one thing before you switch questions. I think peer mentors are also really important. So you have your friends informally, but people across different industries and that you value, that you want to have also mentor you in different ways, is really important. I've learned that the most in the last couple of years with salary negotiations. Sometimes it's hard to talk to people older than yourself or more established about things like that. And so sometimes you're like, okay, well, how did you do it? We're kind of all in the same level. How did you do it? And then practice. And I don't know that I would want to practice that with the CEO who's my mentor, but with my peer mentors, like I would do that. So I think there's high value in peer mentors too.
I really do like that you added that piece, Amanda, because it's very true. There's so much talent here in this city amongst our peers. And even within the Access Network, they're all growing together, but that peer mentorship amongst each other to help each other navigate, they have those similar experiences and moments, and how did one person, handle that situation or negotiate their salary? Because it's not about how quick you grow. It's about who you bring with you along the way, and that's more of it's more vertical instead of horizontal. And so I think I definitely do agree with that piece about, peer mentorship, how it's not, oh, like she or he is at the same level as me. Like there's nothing I could possibly get from, having that person serve as, a peer mentor, but no, there's a lot of value in that. And so I know that here we have two Access mentors who have been mentoring for a few cohorts now, and then we have some new ones. So for our mentors who have been with the program for a while, what have been one of the rewards of mentoring an Access participant? So we'll kick this off with Fanny.
So my mentee was Paula, and Paula is a ball of energy. She is positive. She's a go-getter. She's lives her faith out loud. She loves dancing. I mean, she's just brought so much light and life into my life. I felt like a little old lady now. And then Paula pops in and I'm like, oh gosh, I have to get out of bed, and it's been fantastic to be re-energized in that way through her. And she's also ridiculously smart. She knows her stuff. She's dedicated. She's disciplined. I mean, I sometimes look at myself like, man, am I doing like all the work that Paula's doing? Like I need to get on my game. She might end up mentoring me, and I really like that we can push each other in that way and that we're able to kind of yin yang. I look at her STEM background and see what I can learn from her and some of those transferable skills. And she looks at what she can learn from me, from my marketing background. And it's just been a really great relationship. So I'm very happy that I was paired with her, and my two mentees this year is also looking equally as fabulous. So yeah, it's been fantastic to have that opportunity.
Yes, that's awesome that you share that, how mentor-mentee relationship, like the mentee definitely brings a lot to the relationship, in that even a mentor can learn from the mentee. How about you, Dea? What have been one of the rewards of mentoring an Access participant?
I think it's been just such a great experience because I was part of the first cohort to be able to mentor others who are going through this process as well. But another thing is, these are my peers. These are people that I'm working with. These are people that I could eventually, have a position with. So it's really cool to be able to establish that relationship as mentor and mentee, but then also help them to, reach the goals that they have, and to talk about that stuff, because I'm kind of thinking of like what Amanda said, like there were points in my life, although I did have mentors, that I wish I did have people that looked like me, that were going through experiences like me, because my mentors weren't that. And so it's really cool just to be able to be in a room with people that are the same age as me, that are young professionals, that are going through the same stuff, and we can just kind of talk and bounce back ideas and be able to just have that experience together.
So we've heard from, from our Access mentors who have been with us for a while, but let's hear from our new Access mentors, Amanda and Kari. So for you, it's, what are you looking forward to as an Access mentor? We'll kick this off with Amanda.
So I met with my mentee once already, and I actually, full disclosure, have been asked to be a mentor a couple of times, and I say no. And I've said no because I think it's such a critical, important job. And I wanted to make sure I was in a space where I could give attention, especially because it's a formal mentorship, right? So several of us have probably had mentors in our lives, or people in our lives who are like, yeah, if you need anything, like, let me know. And then you never hear from them again. And I didn't want to do that. So I felt like, okay, this year I can do it. I'm in a good place, in lots of different aspects. And so I could do it. And we met up once, and we are probably at least 10 years apart. And to see where she's at, and like, who am I going to be, and what do I need to do? And like having the journal and the pen, it was amazing. And I'm excited to work with her. And she is in a completely different field than me. And so, similar to something Kari said earlier, like one of the first things I said is, as it relates to you moving up in your career, go ahead and print off like your dream job description, like go on LinkedIn or whatever your field is, because I know nothing about accounting in that way. And then like, let's look at what those skills are and like, let's figure out how we get you those skills. I'm not going to be able to talk about my lived experience as an accountant, but I can help you with the resume side of it. And we can talk about who, what, where we need to get you connected to. And it was great. And so I'm really looking forward to building that relationship with her. And what Fanny said is really exciting to me. So I hope that my mentee also makes me not feel like an old lady. So that'll be fun.
No, yeah, thanks for sharing that, Amanda. And how about you, Kari? What are you looking forward to as an Access mentor?
I am hoping to connect more. I think there is like a 10-year difference in our relationship as well. And he's pre-med, wants to go into medical school. I have a policy background. So maybe public health is that middle in the Venn diagram. But I'm just looking forward to asking those questions, pushing him, and also just learning a lot from, I've learned so much from him already. I met with him this morning, actually, so perfect timing. So it's just really cool to see that there's so many Latinx out here in Indy, and that's also super encouraging to see the younger generation stepping up. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, you guys have some amazing mentees, and every year, every cohort, there's awesome different individuals from different backgrounds, different career sectors, who are just here to eager to learn, eager to contribute, and excited to meet their mentors, because many of them have never even had one, right? So it's like, what is that? It's so like foreign to them. But then at the end of the year, to see how much they've gained from them, and then like they want to even give back, right? Is so beautiful to see. It kind of comes full circle. So on that note, though, I kind of wanted the audience to kind of get kind of like behind the scenes of like, what does mentoring even look like? So for example, for you all, I'm sure with time, you're going to meet with your mentees and you're going to begin to like goal set, big picture set, look at career goals, look at personal goals. What are some ways that you all do that? And it might look different for all of you, but just kind of curious on how you guys approach mentorship and why it's important to do that goal setting early on. Or maybe not. Maybe you guys can educate me today. Just kind of curious to hear your thoughts. Fanny?
So when I meet with my mentees, I do try to identify one big goal, because obviously there's a lot of things that we could learn from each other along the way. But for the purposes of, at the end of this Access program, have we achieved our goal? What is that goal? And whether that's more networking, landing a job, working on soft skills, presentation skills, etc., at least we've set our target on what we want to improve on. So that involves usually meeting bi-weekly via Zoom, depending on people's comfort level, meeting in person, and obviously schedules. But I'm really easy to text whenever, pick up the phone, let's just chat. I definitely keep it real with my mentees. They know where I'm at. I have no problem talking about my missteps and being very transparent in when I failed, and even if I'm in the middle of it, and letting them know, hey, listen, you might have me on any level of a pedestal because I'm a couple years older, I have XYZ title, but the struggle is real nonetheless. We're all trying to figure it out, right? And so here's kind of my thought process, and I want to give you some insight on that. And here's my tip on how to watch out and not make similar mistakes. At the very least, make your own mistakes, learn from mine. So it is definitely very transparent and keeping it real. And I try to elicit the same kind of feedback from them and letting them tell me legit what's going on in their lives so that we can really get down to it.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's something that's so critical, especially when somebody's coming to you for direction, right? How do you offer that direction? How do you set that framework for direction? Amanda, what do you got to add?
It's funny because I'm thinking about this in two ways. I'm thinking about the formal ways. So like with my mentee for our first meeting, I said, come with 3 things you want to get as a result of working with me. I know you've seen my bio and whatnot. So what of all that are you interested in? And so that gave her like something to start the conversation with. But I think another thing as a mentor, when I actually think back to you, Fabio, it's about students or people will come to you and say like, I want to do this and I want to get this and I want to understand this. And I'm like, I think I'm better served for you as like a sounding board to help you with your mental health or with your voice or with your capacity. Like I'm gonna do this for you instead because I can see that this is happening. So I do think sometimes mentees come with like 1 + 1 is 2, and you're like, we're not even gonna work on the equation. I want to help you on this side, and this is what I can offer you. And then they can say like they like it, or they'll be like, no, but oftentimes it's a no because I need that. So I'll come back to you when I'm ready to hear that. So I think my mentorship kind of shows up in 2 different ways. It's the you tell me what you want and we'll try to work on that, but also I'll tell you what I see and where I think we're best suited.
100% can attest to that. Yeah, man, there's always giving great advice, and that's funny how I never pictured it like that, but yeah, I think your advice was almost like a sounding board without me even understanding what a sounding board was. And now when I look at it, I'm like, yeah, definitely helped me avoid some obstacles along the way when it came to just my crazy ideas. You entertain them, and you not just entertain them, but you actually helped me to actually push them forward. So shout out to Amanda. Anyways, Kari?
I think for me, it's I'm always like remembering. I'm always all about remembering your why for everything, right? So, especially for new relationships and like the way Access matches a mentee and a mentor. Like for me, it's like, well, why are we here? And like, why are we meeting? Why are we spending time together? I met with my mentee at 8 a.m. this morning, right, for breakfast. Like, why'd you get out of bed to meet me at 8 o'clock in the morning, right, on a Thursday? So for me, it's really like the goal is kind of like a guide. You probably, if you hit them, great, excellent. But I think you accomplish a lot more when you set those goals. Like you're actually aiming for something, right? So rather than walking away with nothing, at least you can say like, there's been some progress. This is what we worked on. This is what we discussed, and go from there. So those are my 2 cents for that question.
Yeah, and I think mentorship is so relationship based. I think at the end of the day, it's really being able to understand why they're both there. And I like guide a lot more. I feel like we're all each other. We've all had guides, right? And sometimes they've been mentors, sometimes they've been sounding boards. But at the end of the day, they've all been amazing guides that have helped us get to where we are. And so definitely concur with what you're saying, Kari. Thea?
I definitely think I take more of like the approach that Amanda does when it comes to meeting with my mentees. I have been kind of all over the place with my mentees as far as like some of them have just been getting ready to graduate from college. Others are looking at transitioning jobs. So it's been really just kind of meeting them where they're at and setting some goals, but also at the same time, kind of like what was said, there could be other things out there that they need help with that they just don't know how to get that help or ask for help or establish that. And I've been very lucky that because of my background and being a life coach, that kind of sometimes comes second nature to me. And I try not to be very life coachy, but I do let them know like, hey, I do have this background. So if you need any help with that stuff, like I'm more than happy to help with that. But kind of like Amanda said, like being that soundboard, oftentimes when we have a problem or something comes up, we just think of that issue, but we don't think of, other things that are happening around us. So being able to be that person of like, okay, let's just take a step back. Let's, evaluate what's happening and giving them advice that maybe they're not looking at because they're kind of just stuck in that moment or stuck in that situation has kind of been the way I've approached things. But it's just, I think, like I said before, just meeting them where they're at, having that conversation and building that trust with them so that they can, just have that person to count on for whatever. It doesn't need to just be professional. It can just be life because life happens a lot.
100%.
Yeah. And, I think we're getting to the conclusion of our panel time together. But, I think that this has been such an amazing, group that has shared with us, who continue to support the Access Leadership program. And, therefore, on behalf of the Access Leadership team, thank you, Amanda, Fanny, Dea, and Kari for joining us tonight. During this virtual panel to talk a little bit more about mentorship, because January is National Mentoring Month, and we are super thankful to all of our current and past Access mentors. Mentoring program goals vary based on organizations, but for the Access Leadership Program, we see mentoring as another important piece for growth and support. We know that the mentorship and all the mentors who have supported all of the Access participants help build those meaningful connections within Indy's community and provide positive career exploration, leadership development, and even academic enrichment. So thank you so much for just sharing your stories, your insight, and being part of this panel tonight. Fabio, if you want to add any last minute thoughts.
Yeah, no, I mean, thank you so much to the panel. I value each and every one of you. You all are amazing. I think I've worked with you all on different occasions, and I just always thankful to have, just this space to be with my community, right? And talk about mentorship. I've never talked about mentorship with other people, right? So it's like, I never really even knew what it was. So to be able to talk about it, record a segment on it, to be able to give to other youth or individuals, right? I think is really beautiful to come together. So again, thank you all for this time today. And for those of you who are watching, we hope that you got a better glimpse or understanding of what mentorship is, how mentorship can impact your life. If you feel called to be a mentor, an Access mentor, let us know. You can go to the Indian Latino Expo website and connect with us there. And if you are a young college student or high school student who is kind of thinking about mentorship or, would like a mentor, you can always reach out to us as well. Don't be shy. You miss all the chances you don't take. So encouraging you to seek mentorship. I know it's impacted my life, and today you've heard how it's impacted all of our lives. So thank you all, and appreciate your time today.
Yeah, especially like what Fabio had said, if you are someone in high school, college, like Amanda had said during today's panel, definitely reach out. If there's someone, a professor, a teacher, someone maybe within, at a church, or, just an adult in your life who has always given you good advice or could connect you to someone else, always, just take that step, because there's many people out there who are ready to, help you while you go on your journey. So thank you so much, everyone. We'll be seeing you all soon. And thank you, Indiana Latino Expo.
Cheers to mentorship, y'all. Thank you.